Down out. What's up, everybody? You are tuned into the Elks Call, your home for Edmonton Elks Fan Talk and today's CFL Fan Talk. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X, and we couldn't be more thankful to have you join us tonight. This is our free agency special. Today we're going to talk about the latest changes to the CFL landscape, 2026 edition, that is. It is officially free agency season, and we have you covered for all your CFL fan talk. This episode is brought to you by Royal Retros. Save 10% off your order by using code ShotgunSports, all caps, no spaces, and that's over at royalretros.com. They are the throwback kings, hockey, football, you name it. Find all your favorite throwbacks over at royalretros.com. All right. Let's give you a show schedule for today. It is as follows. We're going to open up with a rundown of the latest CFL free agency activity by each team. And after that, we're going to host a little roundtable on which teams did the most, which moves were surprising, and where we want our teams to go from here. And if you are watching live, make sure to join us on Shotgun Sports Network or on YouTube or the Elks Herd on Facebook to comment and question all you want. Get your comments and questions into the Herd chat and we will get them onto the show. All right. I think we have a couple guests joining us alongside yourselves. For today's episode, we do have the co-host of the Rouge White and Blue podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Joe Pritchard.
I think I'm feeling pretty good about how this free agency period has turned out for my boys.
You're feeling good already. You're not too concerned with losing a couple players.
Always going to happen. I feel like the additions were more than the subtractions in this case.
I like it. We're gonna talk a lot more about that, but thanks a lot for joining us tonight, Joe. Of course, we also do have Clay Chisholm of the Argos Fancast. I'd usually have an applause button here, but I apologize, boys. Clay, thanks for joining us, man.
Glad to be here.
How are you feeling about your Argos?
You know what? Save for a couple things that I just don't like. I understand, but I don't like. I didn't expect the Argos to do a whole lot, and so far they've done more than I expected. So here we are.
See, when you go in with low expectations and, the more things happen, it makes it better.
Well, when you've got a guy advising or as your director of player personnel who doesn't like free agency, you tend to not have a whole lot of expectations on free agency.
That's fair. Whereas here at Edmonton, we do know this period even before free agency as the Ed Hervey tampering window. So, it's the direct opposite here in Edmonton. But boys, yeah, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. I don't get to share a stage with you legends too often, and Jason Bisick of the Stampeders Roundup may be joining us as well. So always thrilled. While we're here, viewers, listeners, if you could please hit the like, subscribe, and favorite buttons, we would greatly appreciate it. Lock in now, much like these athletes are doing in the CFL. Now, before digging into the free agency talk, Joe, how has your off season been?
Not as packed as the first 30 minutes of the tampering period were for the Bombers. I think the pre-tampering period might need to be known as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Memorial. Pre-tampering period, right?
I like it. I like it. Memorial. That might be taking it a tad far there, Joe. But I mean, there were some big splashes, man. And like I said, we're definitely going to talk about that. But yeah, there's a case. There's a case there for the Bombers. Argos. I mean, it's a little bit tough with some of these teams because obviously, like, I'm going to say that the Elks did a lot better. I do think that their activity was a little bit greater, but I don't think it was greater than last year, right? What do you think of the offseason so far, Clay?
It's not been without a lot of waves in Argo land. We lost a coach, gained back a bunch of players already that didn't seem to get along with the coach when he was here the first time, or when they were here the first time. So it's been an interesting off season. It never a dull moment in Argo land.
Well, and especially with a major coaching change as well, right? You have Ryan Dinwiddie moving on over to Ottawa. That's instantly going to change the landscape. I believe the Argos brought somebody up in that case, right?
Yeah, Mike Miller, who was our quarterbacks coach, and he's the quarterback. He's the Chad Kelly whisperer. He seems to be the only guy who can actually talk some sense into that kid. And hopefully he's still able to make that time as the coach, because God knows that guy needs it. And we need him to be human, not whatever he decides to be on social media.
Amen. I know that there would be a lot of Chad Kelly comments. I already see the Herd chat popping off. We do have some comments here in the Herd chat. What up, everybody? I don't know if that's necessarily to your comments, but it might be. That is Ryan Messer with the clap, clap, clap of Shotgun Sports Network. Also says, what up, Joe Ken Borchuk? Good evening, my friend. And John Kirby is asking who's going to Kelowna for the game on July 4th. Won't be me. I don't think won't be me, but Double E Land offseason has been an offseason of speculation, and I know that we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. I know I keep saying that, but we got a packed show. But yeah, Double E offseason, some expected, some unexpecteds. I think here for us, it was nice to get through Christmas and then right back into the thick of it. It doesn't feel like CFL season really slows down much anymore with CFL winter meetings and some of the other off-season activities, right?
I mean, and if we do have a dull moment, we can always argue about the rules again, right? Let's not.
Oh, we got a sound effect. That is amazing. Okay, something's working around here. That is amazing. We got the horns. Boys, we have a lot to talk about. So let's dig into it. I do know that the one thing I forgot to mention here, Clay, you do have a new episode of Argos Fancast where you talked a little bit about this already, right?
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah, we kind of went through the whole off season with the Argos, and things that we saw happen. They did the tampering window. Now we see some of those things come to fruition now, with some guys coming back. Robert Priester, Darius Pickett came back earlier. Deshaun Amos comes back from Hamilton. In essentially, what my co-host Doug called a basic trade for Winton McManus, who honestly I did not expect back in the same capacity.
But to go to the rival.
Yeah, well, they've been trying to get him since he was in Calgary. So I totally understand that, and it's a very easy move for a lot of players, especially because if they've moved their family up here, it's 45 minutes down the road, and normally they're living halfway between Toronto and Hamilton anyway. A lot of them live in the Burlington area, which is right smack dab in the middle, so they don't have to move, and they still get to see their family every night. So I understand that. Do I like it? Absolutely freaking not. But, I understand it.
Speaking of moves that some may not understand, I think that Mick Ossie had a pretty good Chad Kelly. I'm not going to read the comment, but if anybody wants to read it, it's it's there in regards to a physio lady. I think everybody in Argos land is just trying to get past that and move on to football, which is, I think, what everybody wants. Yeah, let's do that. How about we get to the football here? Let's talk about the 2026 free agent frenzy. Jason Bisek may be joining us here right away, so we will try to skip his teams. But yeah, I mean, there was quite a few moves. Off the top, was there any moves that really surprised anybody?
Well, I mean, for on our side, once, I mean, Dinwiddie leaving it came out of left field for a lot of us. But then immediately seeing a Darius Pickett come back, that was huge.
Right.
And about the only thing, and Deshaun Amos coming back, Robert Priester coming back, those were, guys that everybody knows here, and guys that they can plug right into the system right away. And the other one, was the other one that kind of shocked me coming back was Demetrius Maxey, because I didn't know there may have been some kind of a rift between him and Dinwiddie. Didn't realize that there were so many rifts between Dinwiddie and a lot of people. So, that everything that kind of fell off of that major change is kind of, is shocking to me, because, as much as we all said we believe in Dinwiddie, and kind of ignored a lot of that, he was rubbing some people the wrong way. So,
yeah, and just from our perspective, not being Argos fans, early in seasons when the team wasn't doing well, usually the first couple weeks were a struggle for the team. It always seemed like there was friction on the sidelines, and always seemed like there was a powder keg waiting to explode. And then the Argos would just start, besides last year, of course, would just start getting hot and rolling, and then you'd forget all about it. But then you'd start the next season, and there'd be a little bit more of that. It's like, I wonder how long that's going to last. And clearly that had a shelf life. Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently that was 5 years, something like that. But yeah, Dwayne Hendricks was another guy that got ushered out mid-season. And as soon as Dinwiddie's gone, he's back. Like Darius Pickett was back.
I think it's always interesting to see those scenarios happen, right? And we do see it in the CFL because the CFL world is so small. So, even D-Max going back to Edmonton, which, he loves Edmonton. Obviously, he was not going to get the promotion he was maybe looking for an assistant head coach or assistant coach.
Yep.
So that's where Toronto had the better opportunity. But who knows? Maybe there was something there with Ryan Dinwiddie as well. Maybe there was a difference in philosophy. And the same reason for who else was Darius Pickett going back, right?
Yeah.
So it is really interesting to see that.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard rumors from people that I trust, talking to some of these people, and so I'll say there was likely a rift between D-Max and Dinwiddie. We know there was something between Pickett and Dinwiddie, because after the 1 year he was gone. So there may have been, and we obviously know there was something between Dwayne Hendricks and Dinwiddie. Right. That one was, there's no rumor about that one. Dinwiddie came out and called him a pretender.
Yeah.
So, we knew that, but, like, Joe said, you guys looked at it and like, maybe there's something that's going to pop off at some point. And it did. And, sometimes, good luck to Dinwiddie, except for the 2 games that he's playing Toronto. And I guess, a couple other games that he's playing your guys' teams. And pretty much every other game that he plays, I guess. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Especially against Hamilton, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
think
you know that one, I just kind of hope that that a sinkhole opens up beneath the field and just swallows both teams. That's usually my go-to when any rivals playing Hamilton.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I think, speaking of Hamilton, my biggest surprise would be the move that I was most surprised by would be Winton McManus going over to the Hammer. I did not
Yeah.
expect that at all. I did not think that that was something that we would see. Usually, you don't see, that north to south here in Alberta, or east to west move, or west to east. You don't see those rivalry moves too often. I think last year Yoshi Hardrick might have been the biggest one. I think. Would you agree to that, Joe?
Yep, that was a painful one. Yep.
Yeah, I figured as much. So, I mean, sometimes we do see these rivalry moves. I just also think that they're a little bit more surprising sometimes when we see those as well. And Toronto and Ottawa naturally has a bit of a rivalry as well. So Dinwiddie going over there, I mean, it speaks volumes, right? So, all right, let's talk about the different teams in the CFL. I think for today, I did say that I was going to analyze the BC Lions. Now, I don't follow the Lions too closely. We know quite a few people that do. It is not me, but I will do the best that I possibly can to speak about these guys. Now, going into this, I will say my opinion of the BC Lions year in, year out, they're kind of that bubble team consistently. Like, they might get a Grey Cup or two within 20 years, but they have a hard time making it to the dance, or even, making it to the Western final, let's say. It doesn't happen too often for them, and when they do, it's usually a porous result. So let's take a look here. There were quite a few moves by the BC Lions. I want to say, they kind of they did lose a couple of players. I do know that Jarrell Broxton was a massive one, but just kind of going through the list here, Dejon Allen, he was extended. Adam Montclair, still a free agent. Chase Bryce was extended. Jarrell Broxton signed with Winnipeg, much to Joe's chagrin. James
Quite
Butler.
the opposite, thank you.
That was a big one for you guys. Jarrell Broxton, Jarrell Broxton, he did sign with Winnipeg, but then James Butler, he was extended. Nathan Cherry was extended. Aiden Eberhardt, which is a player that I was keeping my eyes on. I know that he was part of the CFL's top list of free agents, I believe, even going into today. He did sign with Ottawa, so he is no longer with the BC Lions. Jalen Cooper, Edwards Cooper, he is still a free agent. David Facu, former Double E, he is also still a free agent. Wouldn't mind that reunion in Edmonton. We'll talk about that one later, but that's a name that could be on the board. I think we got too many O-line guys in Edmonton as it stands. Isaiah Guzlik Messam was extended. Josh Haggerty was extended. Keon Hatcher was extended. Ben Hladek was extended. I remember that was one of their bigger ones. Adam Konar was extended, former Double E. TJ Lee also extended. Jeremiah Mazzoli is still a gun for hire, though. So that's a little bit interesting. Kyle Nelson, long snapper, he is also still available on the market. Andrew Pearson, O-line, extended. Gary Peters, D-back, extended. Riley Pickett, D-line, extended. Maxim Royer, re-signed, who is a linebacker, former Double E as well. Chris Schluger.
That one though, that Maxime Royer is interesting too, because they worked hard. He was a global, and now he's a national. They worked hard to reclassify him. He is probably going to be their special teams captain, and that's the reason they really wanted him as a Canadian.
Now, question: do you know if he was technically a Canadian before, anyways?
I know he was born in France. Went to
born
McGill.
in France. Okay, yeah,
born in France. Went to McGill, and I think you can petition if they've spent so many years at school in Canada and he qualified for that, and
Right.
there's a few other things on that petition that he needs to cover, and so that's it, and he's now a national, so that makes a nice signing for BC to have a nice Canadian, or officially Canadian now, at your special teams captain.
Well, it's also smart too, right? I mean, obviously it helps the ratio, but that would make sense why they would re-sign as opposed to extend, right? I think because of that designation, there's a little bit of a difference in the contract language.
Yeah.
All right, rounding off the list here, we got Jonah Tavai, D lineman extended, Sion Tuma extended D-line, and then Sean White, of course, as we know, even though we would love to have him back in Edmonton, kicker Sean White was extended back in January. And then finally rounding out this list, Josh Woods, released by BC but signed with Saskatchewan. So I don't know. Speaking on BC, it's tough to say if they really got better or got worse. I mean, I don't watch a ton of BC's plays. They're more so of a game like that I have in the background. I know, I'm sure Double E is like that for you guys as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't really overanalyze them. I did watch their playoff games. Obviously, or the one playoff game, I believe, because they hosted the West semi, or was it? Yeah, it would have been the West semi, wasn't it? Because then the West final was Saskatchewan. So they hosted the Calgary Stampeders. Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't really think that this moves the needle. I didn't really see any shocking signings. BC is also usually conservative with free agency as well. I want to say last year they were pretty conservative as well. Do you guys have any thoughts on BC?
Yeah, I mean, they were in a pretty good spot right now. They didn't have to go out and go crazy. They just have to keep Nathan Rourke upright, provide him with a few receivers that can make some plays, and they're in every game they want to be in. At that point, then you're just asking your defense, hey, can you make a couple of plays and keep the other team from setting the scoreboard too? And that's a winning formula for you. Just as long as you keep Rourke upright, make sure you got some receivers with some hands around, and just make sure your defense isn't going to just let everything go. You're at least in contention.
Yeah, I mean, which would make sense why you're bringing Keon Hatcher back. And I mean, you're right. They're not necessarily that far away from the goal. The team is in relatively good condition. And I mean, that's why you would see a lot of extensions and re-signs, right? Also why you may see David Foucault not part of the future going forward is they are looking to maybe upgrade that O-line for Nathan Rourke as well. Clay, any thoughts?
You know what? A lot of the same thing. BC, they believe that they have the majority of the pieces that they want. And now it's bolstering that offensive line. And that's why you've seen a couple of the guys, they let a couple of the guys walk. But they made sure they got their guys on defense back. TJ Lee, who else was the Gary Peters, two of the big guys on their defense, and they believe they have a lot of the right pieces. So I wasn't surprised that they didn't go out and make a big splash. I think they're going to be backup quarterback hunting at some point, because you're going to need somebody. But
it does depend on how much they trust Chase Bryce, because it was clear that Jeremiah Mazzoli isn't going to be the answer if Rourke goes down for a month. We saw that happen last year, and it just didn't work. So
yeah,
is this the end of the Jeremiah Mazzoli tour? Sorry, Clay, but I do got to ask.
As a player, probably.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's a reason the teams keep bringing him around, even with all the injuries he's had in the last 5 years. Clearly, there's something he's doing or saying, or he's got value yet in that locker room. I could definitely see him coaching, couldn't you?
Absolutely. I could see a team I could see a team bringing him in as to kind of supplement the coaching cap or the operations cap, much like the Argos did with Bear Woods, where they brought him back, but he was essentially brought back as a coach. I could see a team talking Jeremiah Mazzoli into something like that. I think you're going to see a lot more teams doing stuff like that, especially with that operations cap. But yeah, I think Mazzoli would be a great coach. He's he does a lot of coaching in the off season. I know that, and he's coach some kids, from high school through to getting scholarships in the NCAA. So there's a shot, but as a player, he's not a starter anymore, and I don't think that he's going to be a major piece for anybody. They may bring him as a stopgap. I don't think he'll sign anywhere right away. I think he may sign somewhere, if somebody's quarterback goes down, they might bring him in, but I just don't see him being a really, especially with what the price he was commanding at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see him in any role other than backup or that quarterback coach position, right? And especially like you said, Clay, I like what you said, operations cap. As soon as you mentioned that, you recognize where we're going with this. Teams get creative with rounding out their coaching staff. And hey, I'm not saying anything about implications or trying to imply that any teams have specifically done that, but teams do. Teams have for many years outside of this operations cap, and now that teams are hindered with it and forced to get creative, well, yeah, they're going to, right? And I mean, it's not like there's anything bad about that. They can go ahead and do that all they want. They kind of need to at this point until they get rid of that operations cap. So, yeah, I mean, I think that you guys are bang on. I do believe that we will see Jeremiah Mazzoli in either that role or straight up as a quarterback's coach somewhere. Maybe even college football we'll see down the road, right? Big shout out, by the way. We have tons of people in the Herd chat saying, what up, Dio 1978. Chris Agar was in here in the Herd chat. What up, Chris Agar? What up, Steve? Danny Sanchez, his Seahawks won on Sunday. It was a big game for him. So a big shout out to everybody that is tuned in to the Elks Call. More importantly, the Shotgun Sports 2026 CFL Free Agency Special. Let's move right along. We are still hoping that Jason Basic can join us, so we will skip Calgary and head right to Double E land. The Double E. So Edmonton Elks. It's been a very exciting 10 days or so here in Edmonton. I guess, it would have been 10 days. February 1st is the beginning of the Ed Hervey tampering window, the CFL negotiations period. So,
he needs to trademark that.
I think so. I mean, it's been said so much, you could monetize it by now. It's crazy. He's got to copyright it or something. The Edmonton Elks, I have a lot of hope with what they've done. I mean, I think I say this every year, but I think for once in the Edmonton Elks era, I've seen them fill the gaps. Instead of, us crying for a quarterback and getting a D-line guy, or us crying for D-line and getting a wide receiver. No. We've cried for these things, and they've actually made it happen. So this is beautiful. Going into the free agency, I will also say that there were a couple spots that were already solid. Running backs were solid. Your linebackers were already solid. You didn't really need to make moves there. You needed D-line. You needed O-line. You did need a backup quarterback, and you needed wide receivers. Your D-backs were also good. So the Edmonton Elks didn't really need much, but they still somehow made a massive splash. Let's talk about it. Brandon Barlow was extended. He's a D-line guy. Francis Bemi, D-line, was also extended. Michael Broderick was left for free agency, and he did reportedly sign with Ottawa. Devondrick Bynum, he officially signed with Calgary. Jake Seresna, D-line, he officially signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The disappointing one, Jake Seresna is genuinely one of my favorite players. Stephen Dunbar Jr. still a free agent, wide receiver. Cody Fajardo did extend, which was one of the biggest extensions. Curly Giddens Jr. is still a free agent right now. Cody Grace, still a free agent. Tanner Green retired, and I want to say Cody Grace also retired as well. I could be wrong. But yeah, Tanner Green retiring. Good old Berta boy, fullback. Hate to see that happen. He was the longest serving member of the Double E throughout that time. I want to say 7 years. So pretty disappointing to see Tanner Green go. Wish him the best for sure in his future. Jonathan Kongbo, D-line, did sign with Toronto. So Clay, I know you're happy about that. Gregor McKellar, still up in the air. I believe we got him from Toronto to begin with. He's an O-line guy, so still haven't heard anything on that front where he's going, if he's staying in Edmonton. Tyson Middlemost, wide receiver, did sign with Hamilton. Jacob Lamont, fullback, extended here in Edmonton, which is massive because Tanner Green is no longer on the team. Josiah Shackle, I want to say Shackle might have retired as well. Doesn't list it here in the stat sheet, but I believe Shackle may have retired as well. Argyle Smith, wide receiver, still up in the air for free agency. Noah Taylor was extended. Kobe Williams was extended. Big losses I'd like to talk about right now because I do have them in here. Devondrick Bynum was obviously a massive one. Niles Morgan isn't on the list because he was released before free agency, and Trey Ford as well. Niles Morgan and Trey Ford, and of course, like Bynum and Jake Seresna, tough losses. I think all of these guys contributed to the team. Trey Ford, you knew it was coming because of his his roster bonus. There's no way that they were going to allow that roster bonus to hit, which was like something like $110,000. It's massive money in the CFL, right? Yes, Dio, thank you. Josiah Shackle did retire. There was a media release for that. But yeah, I mean, the Trey Ford scenario, we knew that one was going to happen. Niles Morgan, because the linebacker cores were so strong, you have such great linebackers and essentially guys that can take his position for a lot cheaper and a lot younger. There's nothing you can do there. He kind of got played out over the year, played out of that position. Jake Seresna, injury-riddled year. Couldn't necessarily guarantee the best results going forward. Good on Winnipeg for grabbing him. Wish him the best, except for on Elks versus Bombers game days. And then, Devondrick Bynum, I kind of hope that he was going to stay here. I have a feeling that he did not get offered what he was looking for in Edmonton, so went down to Calgary. I mean, I think that they've filled some holes. I want to talk about some of their additions, like Malik Carney. Come on. D-line, you have to replace Jake Seresna with somebody. I don't think that you can truly replace anybody ever, but holy cow, getting Malik Carney on the line is huge. Wide receivers, they addressed that with Robustelli, Austin Mack. The return of the Mack for Cody Fajardo. He's going to have one of his favorite targets, so that's huge. You got your backup quarterback in Taylor Powell. That's huge. Got another wide receiver in O'Leary Orange. That's huge. As far as the O-line, you want to protect Cody Fajardo. Well, you got Brendan Bordner, you got Coulter Woodmansey, and you got Jordan Murray. I mean, maybe one or two of those guys might play into a backup role, but the offensive line definitely got stronger. Defensive line, you did lose Jake Serezna, and you might lose. I don't know if they're going to lose any more pieces, but maybe they try to improve the D line a little bit more, or maybe a jobber makes his way in there. I don't know, but I do think that the Edmonton Elks got better. I say this year in, year out, boys. So, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I am really thrilled about Kobe Williams getting re-signed. I think he was more of a critical re-signing. Jacob Plamondon, he's familiar with the system. Who knows, right? He's Canadian, so he holds that ratio spot. Maybe he gets outplayed by somebody in the draft. Maybe that's something that Ed Hervey looks for in the draft. I don't know. Or maybe even in training camp, maybe he gets beat out in training camp. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Edmonton Elks this year. I just really hope that we make the playoffs. That's all I want from these moves is a playoff run.
It's been a while.
Too good. Okay, we do have Saskatchewan up next. I do want to just quickly get to this herd check comment. ESPN reporting New England has traded Drake May to the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 1 tractor and 2 bales of hay. Who's got
That's
Saskatchewan?
a good trade for Saskatchewan.
No Pilsner?
Dude, that's a punishment.
Fair. Very fair. Is this you, Joe? Or are you talking about the Saskatchewan? No?
Probably for the best.
Fair. You know what? I want to say Jason was talking about Saskatchewan. So how about we move on to Winnipeg, Joe?
I'd be happy to.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm not going to go run down player by player here. It's just more of how I feel things went. Obviously, we were talking about Jake Serezna. He was a player that whichever team he happened to be on, when he was facing the Bombers, he would make a mess of our offensive line. Didn't matter if he was at Toronto, Edmonton, wherever he was. He was a guy I'd always go, okay, where is he as the ball is about to get snapped?
Right.
And that's a compliment to how well he's played over the years.
We know.
Yes. So getting him alleviates a major problem the Bombers seemed to have last year. They played a very loose defense. They were not attacking the way a Richie Hall defense had been over the years. They seemed to want to just drop into an 8 defensive back shell and let the line do what it could. And that line wasn't getting a lot of pressure on anybody. You can play that game a lot more effectively if your line can get pressure by itself. Mm-hmm. And yes, we do have Willie Jefferson coming back, but adding Serezna in the spot that James Vaughters left, he went to Saskatchewan, putting Serezna in that spot and getting some younger players inside in the middle is only going to help that. And they can play that 8 deep shell that they've been playing a lot more effectively if the quarterback has less time to throw. So I'm really glad to see Serezna in place, Jonathan Moxey in place of a couple of the defensive backs that were let go, including Demario Houston and Jamal Parker. Those 2 are gone. Moxey is in. And they always seem to find quality American defensive backs out on the market too. So I'm not too worried about the secondary, but it's nice to see them filling in some of the holes. Parker just had horrendous injury luck over a course of his career. It was too bad to see that, but it will strengthen the defensive secondary for Winnipeg and the offensive line. Broxton coming in, Bryant staying around for another year. Whether he moves to the right, or if Broxton moves to the right tackle, we'll see how that goes. They did let Chris Kolankowski go to Hamilton. They released him earlier in this offseason. They do seem to have a plan in place though, where they have Tui Ellie, who has been a backup for 5-6 years now. he seems to be the first in line to take over the center spot. And they do have some young American talent they tend to like too. It'll just be interesting to see if they can be more cohesive than last year, because last year was the first time in a bunch of years that I didn't feel like they did a good enough job protecting either the quarterback or any of the quarterbacks, to be fair. Zach had a lot of injury issues. Chris Streveler had injury issues. We were on our third string quarterback by the end of the season due to injuries. So getting that offensive line solidified is going to make trying to get back to where they have been a lot easier. And then they did a few other things. They obviously extended Brady Oliveira earlier in the offseason. That was the move that seemed to trigger everything else, because once they know how much money they had in him, they started having things fall into place. Then got a lot of the re-signings out there.
Well, if you're the Bombers, you know where you need to spend by now, right? And what's interesting is a lot of the feedback this year over last year was that they should have been making these changes, or they should have been making these moves last year when they had the Grey Cup, so that they could win it at home, right? Obviously, hindsight is 2020, as we say, but you do wonder. I mean, I feel like they could have made some of these moves. I also don't feel like the market maybe would have supported it last year, which is why they made the moves that they did.
That's possible. It did feel like they got a little stale last year. It seemed like they kept a couple people a couple years too long. They seem to have been cleaning up things slowly, but they probably needed to do it overall a little bit faster. They did make a move today that confused me, though. Jovan Santos Knox is in Winnipeg now again.
Former
they have Kyrie Wilson already there, and they have Jones in the middle. I'm questioning where he's going to play, or if they made that signing knowing that Kyrie Wilson's had injury problems over the past few years, and so is Jovan Santos Knox.
Yes.
Wonder if they're making that just as a general depth, and they'll play that out in training camp and see where they go.
Oh, that's fair. And I mean, I did also question that as well. I also was wondering where Jovan Santos Knox was going to go. Know that we got some pretty good years out of him here in Edmonton. Went to Ottawa for a bit, made a couple of stops, right? So, I mean, interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe he makes it through training camp. Maybe he doesn't. I do kind of question if that's a permanent spot for him. Now,
and I guess the one other thing I did want to bring up too is they did bring in a couple of receivers. They got light on receiver depth last year due to a bunch of injuries and losing Kenny Lawler into free agency last year. So bringing in Tim White is going to help, because they didn't have that guy that scared defenses at all last year. Nick Dembski is super effective at his role, which is to be a number two guy that can also be a Swiss Army knife in the backfield. He's not the guy. He's not going to be the number one guy. But if you have if the defense has attention on another guy that's playing that role, he gets super effective. And they didn't have that last year. So I'd like to see the fact that they brought in Tim White, and Tommy Neal just got into the fold too. So that doesn't hurt at all either. They lost some of their Canadian receiver depth, which they had been doing so well at for so many years. And all of a sudden it was just gone last year.
Mike O'Shea, man, like Mike O'Shea runs a system. Mike O'Shea, Kyle Walters, those guys seem to run a very consistent system, at least. And they're really good with the ratio, right? So,
and they've run three Canadian receivers a bunch of times too. So having that Canadian receiver depth is going to help a lot.
Huge. I mean, really having any stud Canadian in any position like Tyrell Ford is going to bail us out. I know that Winnipeg fans probably want that guy back, but kind of does bail us out on the ratio scenario just a bit, and the fact that he's good at his job really helps.
It helps to have one guy that kind of, like a Brady Oliveira ratio breaker right there, right?
Yep. It
helps to have a couple of those guys, so you can get that extra draft pick in the second round too for playing more Canadians, right?
Money.
And I think
it's a self-perpetuating cycle, because you get those draft picks and you keep drafting good Canadians, right?
getting back to the receivers, I think Tommy Neal is one of those guys that's poised for a breakout season. He's shown flashes a little bit more and more each year. But I think that was a good pickup for you guys. And hopefully he signed a team-friendly contract, because he might be, if they utilize him right, I think he could be a very, very good piece for you guys. The other one that I am so jealous of is Jarrell Broxton. Get a young offensive lineman who can be the heir apparent to Stanley Bryant. You guys will have him, and once Bryant decides to hang him up, you've got the next one right there.
That's the hope. That's the hope, is starting to fill in some of these spots where the players are 35 plus years old. There's still too many of them, I feel like, but what are you gonna do? Like, you got to find a player that's better than those guys that are still hanging on at that age, right?
Come on down to the old folks' home is what I've been saying lately. I'm sorry,
It's
Joe.
getting to be less of that. So I feel like I kind of always had in my, and anybody that listens to my show know, over the past 2 years, I was looking towards 2025 as this is the last go around for this whole veteran group. And hopefully they leave with a Hollywood ending, win the Grey Cup, and all go run off in the sunset. And we would see what 2026 would deal us when they got there. Well, they're not running things that way. Obviously, they didn't get to where they wanted to be last year anyway, but they're also not ready to push the plunger down and start fresh either, right?
Fair. They don't want to completely rebuild. It's always retool, as we say, right?
Mm-hmm. And that can be effective if it's done right. And they had done it right for a few years. And last year there was a couple of missed spots there that they could have done better at. And hopefully this year they fix those problems.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't think the Bombers want to lose to the Double E at Commonwealth Stadium again. So we'll see if the changes will prevent that outcome. Now, speaking of teams losing in Commonwealth Stadium, our friend Jason is going to join us here from the Calgary, from the Stampeders Roundup, already shaking his head. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Jason Bizik of the Stampeders Roundup.
That is offside. Where's the flag? Where's the flag? God.
I love it. Jason, thanks a lot for joining us tonight, man.
Yeah, no problem. Is Joe done talking about all of the Blue Bombers signings? Like, my God.
No, I still got another hour to go on that.
Jeez. The Blue Bombers are stocking up.
Well, one signing that didn't happen, I'd just like to talk about this before talking about the little town by the bow. Ryan Messer here. What up, Ryan, in the Herd chat? What was the Bombers fans' reaction to Elgersma signing with the Stallions?
He seems to still be regarded as the future in Winnipeg, at least by the fan base. I did get to see him play preseason football last year because he happened to be in my neck of the woods. And I did like what I saw. He was very raw, obviously, took some time to make some decisions. But that arm is something you can dream on, and you can work on the decision making. I think him being in Birmingham and getting some real reps is only going to help. Now, whether he stays there this year, next year, what have you, those were the reps I was hoping he'd get if he would have made the practice roster in Green Bay. Because, I mean, you just look at the history of the Green Bay Packers and how they do with quarterbacks. They do a pretty good job of developing them, right? No, you might not agree, Ryan, but that's how I see it anyway. As far as that goes, though, he got just the camp experience. So having some live action, having some live reps is only going to help, because there's always going to be that question of, hey, he only had the U Sports experience. He didn't go through an NCAA program. What was there's always going to be the question about the competition and what have you. If he can go out in the UFL and prove that he can play a little bit, that's only going to raise his stock in Winnipeg and maybe still with the NFL, because I know he's still holding out for NFL opportunities, because why wouldn't you? Especially with the pay scales between the two leagues, right?
Ryan Messers just choked because he was with the Packers and not the Vikings. So I think that's a big factor.
I mean, he could have helped the Vikings last year. Let's be honest.
Technically, yes, very technically. I love it. I do have another question here from Dio. How about we save any other questions here until our roundtable, because we do have the whole other half of show to go here. Jason, let's talk about Calgary. Your Stampeders. Give us the rundown on their free agency.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't checked the tracker or anything in the last couple hours, so I'm not sure if anything has come down in the last minutes. I don't think so, but here's what we got so far. So far, the Stampeders have added American defensive back Devondrick Bynum, and I'm probably going to butcher most of these names, to the secondary. Now, he was hurt most of the season last season, but had 5 interceptions as a rookie with the Elks. Maybe you have a little bit more experience talking about him, Scout. What did you see there last season with the Elks?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he was pretty dinged up, right? But anytime he is in the game, he's making an impact, and I think that's the player that Calgary fans should be expecting. Yeah, I mean, he did a great job, especially considering that the Elks were very, very Jekyll and Hyde, I guess I would say, especially in the secondary. One game they would be good, next game they would allow a bunch of wide open plays, and you see a lot of that, and some of that was actually on Bynum, but then there were other plays where obviously he got in front of the ball. I liked him. I think he's a great guy in the community. I think he's a great player on the turf. It's just a matter of injuries, right? It's kind of similar to Jake Serezna. Jake Serezna, great guy in the community, great player. Unfortunately, you have a bad season, and it isn't always the greatest for optics, right? Another team might see what you were, might see one of your better years, and they're going to jump on that. But yeah, I mean, I think Calgary's getting a good guy in Bynum for sure.
Now, I didn't dig too deep into this. What was his injury?
Off the top, I do not know.
Okay.
Off the top, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to look it up, though, because I am curious.
Yeah, while you're looking that up, I'll just add that the Stampeders have also added Canadian receiver Dejon Brissett after a breakout season with the Argos. Sorry, Clay. He's going to help maintain their ratio after the departure, of course, of number 1 draft pick Damien Alford, the worst kept secret in the CFL. Nobody figured he'd go to the NFL, right?
Never.
I knew that after the first game. I was like, oh my God, this guy is so gone.
Yeah.
Oh man. 18 games Brissett played last season, 85 targets, 65 catches, 907 yards, 3 touchdowns, and of course, spectacular in a Grey Cup. So, yeah, we welcome him with open arms. Again, sorry, Clay.
And Devondrick Bynum's injury was a chest injury, by the way. So most likely ribs or something like that, right?
Okay. And the only reason I asked that was because, sometimes when guys injure their knees or ankles or something, hard to come back from those and very easy to re-injure. But chest injury, man, I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe he just had a broken heart playing in Edmonton.
Okay, take it easy. Take it easy. That was good though. That was pretty freaking good. We'll give Jason a little. Yeah, you deserve that one. That was good. Calgary.
Yeah, so let me just hop over to the tracker now to see now. Of course, the Stampeders had already extended Clark Barnes, which is great. I love seeing that. Bryce Bell, Eric Brooks, all great players that I like seeing extended. Clarence Hicks, I'm so glad they extended Hicks. Hutchings was released. That one I was a little bit surprised. Let's see, big names here. Diedrich Mills, that was a huge one. I'm so glad they wrapped up him, and Derek Moncrief. Very happy about that. Now, players still left on the table. The elephant in the room here is Dominique Rhymes, like leading receiver last season. This is a shocker to me why they haven't locked up Rhymes yet. He played 17 games last year. 94 targets, 50 catches, 886 yards, 6 touchdowns. Obviously, he's got a connection with Vernon Adams Jr. back when they were in BC. And with Damian Alford going to the NFL, I would have thought Rhymes would have been an easy lock by now, but I guess they were looking to the Argos instead to replace Alford.
Well, the other thing, too, is that Alford was on a rookie contract, so he's making $75K a year. So that's a very, very discount deal. Like that's a fantastic deal for the production that he was putting out, right? The other thing too is that the wide receiver market finally cooled off.
Yeah.
You didn't have a Kenny Lawler out there. You didn't have a Geno Lewis. You did have an Austin Mack, but the Austin Mack deal was done relatively early. So as soon as that Austin Mack deal was done with Edmonton, everything else kind of followed suit. And now Dominique Rhymes is looking for the money when the money's already been spent.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, isn't there still a Dalton Schoen out there?
Correct. The snowman.
Yeah. Why has Winnipeg not locked him up yet? I'm sure that's already been explained by our good friend there.
Actually, I hadn't even touched on that. It's just health concerns. He hadn't been healthy the last couple of years.
Oh, okay.
You can't throw big money at a guy that you're not sure is going to be on the field.
What are you talking about? The Stampeders signed Big Hill last year.
I know,
and
right?
he is also yet to be re-signed. I don't actually expect Big Hill to be re-signed. He only played in 6 games last season and only had 12 defensive tackles. Wasn't a really big standout. I'm not sure if he'll go anywhere. It may be the end of the road for Adam Big Hill. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it was more of him playing last year was more just trying to make sure he was going out on his own terms, right? You never want to be told you can't play anymore, right? And after that, after he had a major injury the year before in Winnipeg too, so he was off the field injured. Probably didn't want to end his career like that either. And he does, and from my understanding, he has fallbacks in Winnipeg. During the offseason and even in the season, he was working his career after football. So he has a platform. He has a place to go beyond finding a backup linebacker position somewhere. So he can certainly make his own calls at this point.
Yeah. Now, I'm not a big salary guy. I don't follow the business end of things. Scout, you may know a little more than me about this. I'd be curious to know if the Stampeders have room for Dominique Rhymes and a Dalton Schoen.
Okay, you're getting greedy now, Jason. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, the Blue Bombers picked up 50 players in the last 2 days. Why can't the Stampeders?
3 in the first 30 minutes. I mean, they had everything. They got their work done really fast.
I know. I was tracking the tracker all day, and I'm like, okay, I don't see anything from the Elks, nothing from the Stampeders. What's going on?
Yeah, and I will speak on this. I do know that there is a press conference tomorrow for the Double E, and then there is a fan season ticket holder event, which I will be attending with Catherine Schrader, my co-host of the Elks Call, who is not here right now. She will be joining me over at the banquet in Ice District in Edmonton. So it'll be cool, but it seems like free agent day isn't necessarily free agent day at all anymore. The beginning of the tampering window is really where you see all your action, right? So it's weird because I feel like at bare minimum, each team has announced at least one signing. I feel like just to call it free agency day or free agent frenzy, they've officially signed one, but all those other reported, for the most part, are good to go. Those guys are considered signed, might be going through medicals, might be going through processes or signatures and contracts or whatever. But at the end of the day, free agent frenzy isn't really free agent frenzy anymore. So it's weird. Now let's go east before we go west again. Actually, let's go farther east than we were going to go with Saskatchewan. How about we go over to Hamilton, because Clay hasn't talked in a while, and poor guy is like, man, I kind of want to talk about a team, even though it's your rival team.
The fictitious kitty team. Yes.
It's not real.
The Frankenstein team that claims they've won 15 Grey Cups, but that's spread over 3 teams. Yeah.
And how many Valor Bowls?
That's their Grey Cup, apparently. Yeah, Hamilton. They've lost a few people. Notably, Deshaun Amos, Greg Bell, and I believe Brian Cole in there, Taylor Powell. So they're trying to restock. They brought in Trey Ford, and obviously Winton McManus was another big one. Guy they've been trying to get since after his first year in Calgary. But yeah, they're just looking at this. They've brought in Trey Ford. They re-signed Jake Dolagala and Harrison Frost in their quarterback room. So they've got 4 quarterbacks under wraps there. And they extended Bo Levi Mitchell as well. So everybody is there.
That's a crazy quarterback room too.
It is. And then your receivers, they've lost Tim White, who they almost had moved on from him anyway last year. But they restructured Kenny Lawler's deal. He was a free agent technically for 5 minutes. They released him to re-sign the deal. So anybody could have had him at that point. And I'm trying to think of who else they've brought in here.
They brought in Kolinkowski and Lofton from the Bombers offensive line because that worked so well last year for us, right?
Savage.
Yeah, and Kolinkowski's he's a guy who's he's kind of signing close to home. He's from Bradford, which is about an hour east of me, and I'm only about an hour outside of Hamilton. So he's moving close to home. They brought in on the other side. They've brought in Kenny Onyeke and Tyler Middlemost, another guy who's coming home, and Carrick Wheatfall from Winnipeg as well. And they brought in a returner, Mario Alford from Saskatchewan, when James Letcher made Mario Alford kind of obsolete. Losses, Jonathan Moxley's going to be a tough one for them. Brian Cole, Deshaun Amos, and then Greg Bell as a running back, who is now the highest paid American running back in the CFL, and he's gone to Ottawa. So they've got some things that they want, but they do things weird in Hamilton.
I feel like the Hamilton Tiger Cats got decimated. Like them in Saskatchewan, I feel like saw the most players walk away from or sign elsewhere.
Yeah, I think like Deshaun Amos and Greg Bell are going to be, and Jonathan Moxley are going to be really missed.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Deshaun Amos got a nice deal from Toronto, from what I hear. So he's coming back home to where he should have been anyway. And then you can't knock Greg Bell for taking the money in Ottawa.
Gotta take the money while it's there, right? That's also the point of free agency.
Exactly. and as far as getting decimated, yeah, I hope they do. I hope they got decimated. I really do. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not hoping for disaster down there. If Bo Levi Mitchell can be the cocky asshole Bo Levi Mitchell, that's when he plays good. If he's a humble Bo Levi Mitchell, fantastic. He's going to play like garbage.
That's too good.
You're
Jason, you can speak to when Bo Levi Mitchell is a cocky prick, like right on that line and probably way past it. He plays like a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I think you mean confidence.
It is way beyond confidence with him. Trust me, my parents lived in Calgary, and every time he was on the news, I heard about it. My parents were Rough Rider fans, so
you gotta feel for Trey Ford though. When Trey Ford heard he was signing in Hamilton, he's like, "Oh god damn, he's got to play behind Bo Levi Mitchell. He's never going to get to play now unless Bo Levi Mitchell gets injured again."
You know what? I think this is more the Ticats bringing in Trey Ford to try and groom him, because Bo Levi Mitchell, he's fighting the clock at this point. He may have, if he can play to his potential, he may have 2 years left, I think, at his peak. But if you can get him to kind of mold Trey Ford, who is somewhat of wants to be a gunslinger himself, then yeah, go for it. He's from the area, went to school 20 minutes down the road in Waterloo, so I think that's a good signing by Hamilton. Whether or not it's actually going to pan out is all depends on Scott Mitchell, Bo Levi Mitchell, and the rest of the coaching staff there.
Yeah, and Scott Milanovic has been touted as being a quarterback whisperer. The only problem is that, and I mean, I'll also say this too, that Trey Ford to Hamilton was always projected. I think that you would be stupid to think that, and sorry, maybe not stupid, but I mean, you'd be silly to think that Trey Ford wouldn't be going to Hamilton at some point in his career, right? Whether it was supposed to be this early or not, who knows? But the problem for that is that, yes, you are playing behind an aging Bo Levi, so you may get your chances. It's just that I don't think that system is going to be well tailored to Trey Ford. Bo Levi Mitchell right now is one of the most immobile quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
he rushed for a touchdown last season, didn't he?
For one, yeah. I mean, was it a sneak from the one? Like, or it's. I don't really think that the system is still correct for him. I wanted to see Trey Ford go to Calgary, honestly, for his own development, just because Vernon Adams Jr. is such a great rushing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he has a very similar skill set to what Trey Ford does. So, in my opinion, as far as systems and as far as quarterback play, something that Trey Ford could actually develop behind, I think that Vernon Adams Jr., Calgary Stampeders, that system down there, that would have been better for Trey Ford.
Even Montreal behind Davis Alexander, because Alexander's a running quarterback as well.
Totally. No, and I agree with that. I do also think, though, that you need to be a better passer over your scrambling, and I think your scrambling is what gives you that extra wow factor, right? So, and you are right. Davis Alexander definitely exhibits that. So, very, very interesting. I think Hamilton, I think that they're on a bit of a down this year based on what I saw in free agency. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier with the BC Lions being a little bit more consistent with their approach to free agency, not doing wholesale changes, trying to hold on to a lot of guys. I think that's what you want to see. I think the Edmonton Elks are also following that as well. Teams that think they're close, or teams that think that they're in a good position, teams that are cohesive, players don't necessarily want to leave. So, yeah, I mean, I think Hamilton might be in for a bit of a rough one this year. Do also want to say hello to Jamie Fadoon in the Herd Chat and everybody else that is tuned in to the 2026 CFL free agency special. Jamie Fadoon does say good moves by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year. Looks like he is a big fan of what the Blue Bombers are doing, Joe. Much like you. We'd love to see it. Alrighty, let's move. Which way are we going to move now? Let's go west again. Jason, how about we talk about the 2025 Grey Cup champions?
Sorry. Oh. As much as it pains me to talk about the Riders,
usually when I'm talking about,
I declined the invitation to talk about them earlier, so they're all yours.
Usually when I'm talking about the Riders, it's not good and not safe for internet. No, seriously though, I don't know a whole lot about the roster either, but I'll go over the moves that they made. They signed 2 former NFL draft picks, receivers Freddie Swain and Juwan Winfrey. Swain had a couple of good years with the Seahawks in 2020 and 2021, but hasn't really been relevant since then. Winfrey spent 5 years in the NFL with the Broncos, Packers, and Colts, but he hasn't really done much. So be interesting to see. It looks to me like these guys aren't developing in the NFL, so they're coming to try out the CFL is what it looks like to me. So we'll see how they do in the Rough Rider system. The Rough Riders also shored up their pass rush because they lost Malik Carney and Habakkuk Baldonado. Wow. Probably hacked that name apart. They signed American defensive lineman James Vaughters. He had 7 games last year with the Bombers, 36 defensive tackles, 6 sacks, and a touchdown. And Joe, what are your thoughts on Vaughters?
I feel like that the Bombers made an upgrade getting Ceresna in there. Vaughters did play decently when he was in there. Just not, he wasn't, like I was mentioning when Ceresna came up. Ceresna was a guy when he was playing against the Bombers, I'd always be looking for. I'd be like, okay, he's lined up there. That could be where the problem is. I didn't feel like as a Bomber fan, I was looking and going, okay, there's Vaughters. He's going to cause some havoc right now. I didn't feel that way when he was in Calgary either, because they had so many weapons on the defensive line when he was there. So it was hard to pick out just one. But if he could stay healthy, fair. He's going to help the Riders. At the same time, it's not a move I look at and go, oh crap, that just made them so much better.
It's not a game breaker, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now the Rough Riders may have found a replacement for Habakkuk Baldonado in the second global spot. They signed Dutch linebacker Tyron, I believe, Vrede. I'm starting to sound like Kathy here pronouncing names.
Shout out Kathy.
Shout out Kathy. He's a seasoned pro from his years with Ottawa, and he will contribute on special teams. In 15 games with the Red Blacks, he had 2 defensive tackles, but 13 special teams tackles and a forced fumble. So it sounds like he'll do some good there, fill in that gap. Of course, we mentioned earlier the Riders lost Mario Alford, who signed with Hamilton. Not a huge loss, but Alford was the Riders' leading punt and kick returner. Maybe now they look to Dre McCray to step up and fill
they brought in James Letcher Jr. from Montreal.
Oh, okay.
That's he was the guy, the reason that they let Mario Alford walk.
Okay. I was not aware of that at the time I made these notes. The Riders also lost CJ Rivas, who has been a standout for the last 3 seasons, averaging 70 defensive tackles, 3 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. I always wonder why teams that do so well and they win a Grey Cup how they let so many players go the next year. This happens quite frequently, actually. And
Because all their prices go up. The players' prices go up. They just got a ring now, and now it's worth more. You know what I mean? That contract is worth
they
more.
just go flash the ring around at free agent time and says, "Pay me my money," and that's what happens, right?
That's fair. That's fair. Couple players of note that are still available, I believe, at the time I made these notes. CJ Avery only played in week 1 last season before suffering a season-ending injury, but he had 4 tackles in that game. His rookie season in 2024, he played 17 games and had 50 tackles, 1 sack, 3 picks, and a forced fumble. So he's a guy that I think the Riders want to lock up. And a guy that's kind of getting up there in years, not quite Winnipeg Blue Bomber years yet, but Kadeem Carey only played in 3 games last season, with the bulk of the ball carrying, of course, going to AJ Ouellette.
All right. That's all right. He's already got a job. He's running backs coach here in Toronto.
Yep.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Well, geez, there we go. Then we don't need to talk about his stats anymore because they don't matter anymore.
Well, see, that's what's weird about this CFL.ca website.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like we complain about the website every single year on every single show on Shotgun Sports Network. I feel like we have some sort of problem with CFL.ca, and I really wish that we didn't anymore. But it doesn't show retired, and it doesn't show folks that have moved on to a different job, so especially retired, right? Because he would have been retired in that scenario, and then
he still technically has not filed his retirement papers yet. So
so even then, I'm wrong on that.
He can come back at any time.
Yep. Usually that's they're filing the retirement papers before they take the coaching job, but he's one of those people that just I got no other job, so.
Well, he might strap on the pads here at some point this season.
I doubt it. I think he's kind of seen the writing on the wall, but
I'm sure it's just that hopefulness of, well, if the guy's coach can get hurt, well, I could still do this if I have to, that kind of thing too, right?
Yep. Dream alive.
Keep the dream alive. That's
coach.
That's exactly it.
Oh God, that's funny. Alrighty.
Hey, don't knock it. It's happened.
Yeah. I know.
Had Pinball walked. Had a good game, and then the next week he was coaching the team. So
there's also coaches that strap him on.
That was about the same time as Calgary had their kicker as their president, right?
Something like that. Yeah. The other thing
that was a window of time where I had lost the American TV. But I was still following that line. I'm just like, what the hell is going on with you guys? What is happening up there?
Look, it's a small league, Sometimes
we have to make lines somehow.
Oh, dude.
Well, it was just efficiency. You can get 2 jobs done in 1 salary, right?
Yep. The other thing for Saskatchewan that we have mentioned is they don't have a kicker.
Yeah, they don't.
They decided to shut the door on Brett Lawler. So
I thought they did sign a kicker before they got rid of Lawler.
It's still going to be an open competition. He's not. I don't believe he is the.
Well, is it much of a competition? Anyone can do better than Lawler did last year.
Guy still won a cup.
I kind of liked him.
He still got his name on the cup, yeah.
Of course, Joe would like his performance, yeah.
And to be fair, he made plenty of good kicks against us in years past too. So,
and the kicker they did sign, Jonathan Kim, is an American, so there's always a chance that they're going to look to fill that with a Canadian role. And Mike, sorry, they did say, and another American, Michael Hughes as well. So they've brought in some kickers, but it all depends on whether or not they're going to keep the Americans a kicker or go global or national there.
You know what? Any sort of hardship that goes Saskatchewan's way, I know We don't agree on things often around here, but I think we can all agree. It's okay if the champions take a little bit of a hit in 2026.
Agreed.
Usually happens for most championship teams.
Oh,
so.
God. Oh, my God.
For my family, I don't agree.
I mean, let's be fair. The Bombers have an American kicker, and that's worked out pretty darn well the last few years. So, if the Riders think they got a guy, more power to them.
Yep.
But nobody's going to beat Sean White, so it doesn't even matter. Everybody
That's
else,
fair.
good luck
White
with
is
your
amazing.
Top of the league, top shelf. He's simply one of the greatest, and he's a great guy. So
Rennie Paredes would disagree. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess Paredes has he has quite a long run in Calgary.
They're probably close.
I don't know who's the leader. I'm gonna look that up while we talk about the next team, which will be Toronto.
All right. We did a lot of our work ahead of free agency. We re-signed a bunch of guys we wanted to keep. On the defensive side, we extended Cam Judge again. We re-signed D'Arcangelo and Kassar, who are middle linebackers, and which kind of paved the way for Wynton McManus's exit. We already mentioned brought back Darius Pickett, and then Robert Priester and Deshaun Amos in the secondary. Re-signed Benji Franklin. On the offensive side of the ball, every quarterback that we had, all 5 of them that were on our roster at one point last year, are signed for training camp, including Max Duggan, who's I believe playing in the USFL right now, or will be.
Did you say Matt Dunnigan?
Max Duggan.
Duggan, not Dunnigan.
Oh,
Duggan, the ginger from TCU. We did lose Dejan Brissett. That was a hard one. But when you look at the guys we have there, he was going to be the odd man out especially when they signed Ungerer for what we believe is a much more team-friendly deal than Brissett would command. So you got Coxie, Polk, Herslow, Mittal, and now you got and Unger in there, and there's only so much football that can go around. So, unfortunately, we saw the writing on the wall that they were going to let Brissett walk. As far as the running back is a little not 100% sure what's going on there, but we'll figure that out once training camp hits. And brought in a receiver from Ottawa. Second here, so it was Andre Miller.
Yes, that's right.
Great potential guy. So somebody they're probably looking to backfill on the Canadian side for receiver. What else did we do? Like I said, a lot of our stuff is re-signing the guys that we really liked at the amounts that we could re-sign them at. Oh, the other one we did was bring in former Saskatchewan offensive lineman and now former NFLer Dakota Shepley, which was something that kind of came out of left field for a lot of us fans. Didn't know they were talking to him.
Shepley was massive. That's such a huge pick.
Yeah, it's we did have a lot of guards, so we are letting some guys go. Darius Sirocco is not going to be on the team anymore, and not sure about Dylan Giffen because he's likely going to be in that same spot that Shepley was going to be in. We need an offensive tackle. We're not 100% sure on where that's going to be. We've got a few young guys in the system who haven't necessarily panned out yet, but yeah, that's where we are. The other one I should mention that you mentioned earlier, Scout, is Jonathan Kongbo.
Congo is huge.
Yeah, that's going to be in there. We've got Marcus Christmas and Ralph Hawley is back as well. So our interior is going to look good. We just need some rush ends, and that's where Anthony Lanier would help out there. Andrew Chatfield should be good to go, and hopefully add to what he did last year.
I'm also curious to see what happens with Jamin Pelly as well, because I know that he stepped in for half the season there with the Argonauts. Love Jamin Pelly. He's a great guy. His cleats are literally right here. Got some Jamin cleats, but number 96 or number 67 or whichever number, I think he was a 79 last year. He might have been, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'm not sure. It all depends on what it's going to cost them, really.
Yeah.
Because you'd love to bring back Brian Cox. Didn't get much of a shot because he went down with a Achilles injury in training camp. But can you afford him? You'd love to bring back Anthony Lanier, but can you afford him? It's because you did bring back Robert Priester, Deshaun Amos, and Darius Pickett, who are not cheaply paid. So
we do have insider Ginger Argo here in the Herd chat. I don't think Pelly will be back. That's a big one. That's a big one from Ginger Argo over here. Throwing in a little bit of love in the Herd chat.
Yeah.
So
I'm inclined to believe be in that same camp. I just don't think they saw enough of him to warrant a non-minimum deal.
You also have to be a difference maker in this league, and especially with jumping in halfway through a season, you really need to make a big impact. You need to get that film. You need to make those plays more often in that sense. Whereas, when you have a full season, you have a full runway, you have a training camp, you have all of these things. For him, he did have to jump in halfway through, which means you're already at a disadvantage. So when you're out there on the turf, you got to hit it hard. You got to make the big plays. You have to prove that you're more than a backup, especially in Jamin's case as well. And you're not just there to appease the ratio as well. You actually have to contribute to the team.
And I don't think he made enough of an impact to, like I said, unless he's coming back on a minimum contract. I don't, that's about the only way he's back, I believe.
That's fair. That's fair. We do have Ethan Peterson in the Herd chat. What up, Ethan? He says, "Go Riders." Silence. I like it. You can tell all of us just love these Riders, right? Need a H. Alrighty, let's do we want to get out of Toronto? Are we happy with Toronto? Do we want to talk a little bit more about those Argos, or do we want to move on to Montreal?
I'm fine with moving on to Montreal. No need to poke any holes in the view, the rosy or the double blue colored glasses that I have.
I guess overall, before we move on to Montreal, you feel good about the team moving forward? Do you think they're going to be an impact this year? Do you think they're going to rise in those standings?
I think that I think with hopefully some of the friction out of the way, it makes things a lot smoother. I know there guys like Winton McManus you can't not miss his leadership out there. But yeah, I think there's a very good chance that they should play better, and I think they may play their starting quarterback for at least one more down, because there's rumors he was fully healthy at the start of the year. But yeah,
and I mean,
hopefully they can keep his head on straight.
We can talk about all that until we're blue in the face, much like Mick Ossie was alluding to earlier. We're not going to get into any of that stuff. We get into the gossipy side of things on our own individual shows as it is. That's not why we're here today, so we won't dig right into it. Ethan Peters here in the Herd Chat would like to say all you guys are okay except Joe. So... because he says we need a homie from Saskatchewan is what he was trying to say earlier. So he wants a little Saskatchewan, some Saskatoon Slumber Party representation here on the network.
Here you go.
Does it? I love it.
Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Shame.
Shame.
No, the Riders are okay. They won a championship. We're just being haters, right? He did also say, Ryan Messer here in the Herd Chat does say they got Dresser Wynn, who gave us trouble when he was with Memphis last year. That is the Memphis Showboats of the UFL going up against the Birmingham Stallions, home of the three-peat. So... yeah, Dresser Wynn, somebody to keep an eye out for. I will say, before we move on, the one thing I'd like to say, it is pretty cool. Ryan Messer has been covering the UFL, the USFL, and the XFL down in the States with Shotgun Sports Network, Alabama for some time. Benjamin Victor, who is now with the Double E, he was actually part of the third Stallions Championship, so the third one in a row. So kind of cool. We've been covering a couple of corners here at Shotgun Sports. I got to be a part of the Taylor Elgersma conversations with the winter meetings, and then with the with an interview with AJ McCarron, head coach of the Stallions. So kind of cool. Big shout out Ryan Messer and the Birmingham Stallions. Also cool though to see Ryan Messer and Shotgun Sports Network Alabama covering the Birmingham Stallions. But it is also very cool to see that we can kind of cover multiple sides of the fences there. And also great to see how many UFL players are coming up to Canada to try out the league as well. I know that there was a lot of concern with CFL players potentially going down to the UFL for more opportunity or better opportunity and more money or whatever you may have. I don't think we're quite seeing that. I think it's actually the opposite. UFL players are kind of coming up to Canada, which is because of a better wage, right? It's a better contract or a better salary. So kind of cool. It's the sports world and the football world is especially small. Canada is not. Let's go on over to Montreal. Joe, are you speaking on Montreal?
Yes, and my co-host Oz would just like to point out that he is very, very sad that Darnell Singh is now in BC.
Shout out Oz. Shout out Oz.
Yep. Message delivered, and now on to the rest of that. Looks like Montreal really remade their quarterback room. They brought in Dustin Crum from Ottawa, who is kind of a stylistic fit behind Davis Alexander. So that works out. Whereas last year they just threw whatever healthy body they happened to have at quarterback behind Davis Alexander. When Alexander has another, if he has another injury-plagued season, they at least have a quarterback that plays his style of play now, and they won't have to just scramble to try to find something that works, right?
Thompson.
You'd have to change your entire offense from Alexander to Thompson because stylistically they couldn't be much different, right? Caleb Evans also unsigned. There's there was another quarterback too. Yeah, Shea Patterson's also unsigned. So clearly they're trying to remake things. And just a sickos reference in there, Caleb Evans is from the is from ULM, which is a college program that doesn't get a lot of props out there, but he is one of their more famous alumni out there right now. So hopefully he does find another spot in the league.
Sickos committee.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I had to mention them, right? The biggest thing that I see that happened to them in recent weeks here is Antoine Dequoy decided to call it a career. And that's a massive blow because not only was he a fantastic defensive player for them, he was also a ratio breaker. That's going to change a lot of what they're going to do out there. They've already lost Austin Mack too. They still have a lot of talent, but this team was picked apart a little bit, and it's just going to be a painful thing for them to have to go back and try to reset after all these changes. They did bring in Dedmon from Ottawa, which I'm a little bit confused by because I had James Letcher Jr. And James Letcher Jr., it seems to be far less injury prone. They must really see something in Dedmon to take the risk like that. Because then they shipped that started a domino effect, right? That moved a couple of returners around the league with that move, right? And then Jarrell Stearns is the other signing I've seen they make. I liked him in Winnipeg last year. He was a good complementary piece, but he wasn't stretching defenses. Really, Montreal didn't have a lot coming in or going out, but the ones they had go out, they're painful.
Well, and the Decoy signing I think was weird because I thought that he was extended like 3 hours before he announced his retirement as well.
Yeah, it's weird because we had seen the announcement that they had signed him to an extension and completely expected, right? And then the unexpected happened a couple hours later.
Because he was also a top free agent as well.
Right. So it was surprising he had lasted that long to begin with because you'd think Montreal would have chased him even harder. Clearly, though, the issue was he was contemplating whether he wanted to keep doing this.
Yeah, and I mean, good on Montreal for reaching out. Sorry, Jason.
I seem to think I recall seeing that Montreal did make him an offer, but then they rescinded it for some reason.
It was announced he had signed an extension, or at least was going to be signing an extension. And then a few hours later, it's like, oh, no, he's actually retiring.
Yeah, there was a couple of those moves right on tampering window day. Let's just call it tampering window day. I'm not going to call it Ed Hervey Day because he has a birthday, I'm sure. But on the beginning of tampering day on February 1st, I thought that's when we also saw a BC Lions move, but the player that was supposed to be going to BC actually ended up going to Hamilton, I want to say. Like there was something weird like that as well. So right. Even on day one of the window.
You couldn't officially sign. Like this is the day you signed, right?
Right. But it was announced that, he was going to be, this one player was going to be going to BC. I forget off the top of my head. Once it's mentioned, I'm sure I'll get it. But went to BC, but then all of a sudden went to Hamilton. And that deal or that projected deal or presumed deal absolutely fell apart. It is also a reminder that everything that happens on tampering day one, isn't necessarily what happens on free agency day, right? I mean, at the same time, sure, we're all expecting a lot more announcements and signings and graphics and hoopla on days like today, but free agency is basically 10 days in advance now on February 1st as opposed to the 10th, right? So we only had
a couple of those. Most every other announcement was bang on.
The percentage is very low, right? It might even be a single digit percentage on what's reported versus actual signing on free agency day, but those do still happen. And for the Montreal Alouettes, you have to expect that you're going to lose some players. You do have to retain as many players as possible. I don't see how they got better, Joe.
No, I don't either. The good news for them is that if they can keep Davis Alexander on the field, they didn't need to improve much. Yeah. Let's be fair.
He is a top 3 quarterback in the league right now. I think we can all confidently say that. Do we agree?
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm just going to forget that I didn't believe in him at the start of last season. We didn't have a lot of track record on him at that point, to be fair.
Fair. No, and the reason why
he only started, 7 games? 7, 8 games?
And he still had a great stat line.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like, they went undefeated with him at pivot, right? There's certain quarterbacks that just draw the best out of the team, and Davis Alexander, he's one of those.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see how he did better.
The difference between the team being run by him and anybody else they put back there, night and day.
Yeah, I don't see how Montreal got better this year, but as long as they got Davis Alexander, they're going to be fine.
If he plays more than 10 games, like, I can't see how they're not, like, challenging for first.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me a lot more worried for my Double E, and I'm sure it makes everybody else a lot more worried for their teams as well. But let's go to the last team because we are running out of time on the episode already. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. So let's wrap it up with this and then a short round table. But Ottawa Red Blacks, real quick, boys, do you have any opinions on their moves?
Well, it's funny we mentioned the Red Blacks because I just found who I was talking about. Demario Houston originally agreed to terms with BC, and then BC pulled the offer for whatever reason. And so Demario Houston is still available, I believe.
Oh, so was it Demario Houston that I was thinking of?
Yeah, he agreed to terms with BC, and then BC pulled the offer.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jason.
Interesting. I wonder why.
Yeah, looks like he actually signed with Ottawa today. So,
all right, there we go.
I think that's what was reported, was that he was going to be signing with Ottawa. It wasn't Hamilton. It was Ottawa. So that makes a lot more sense. Do have a couple Herd Chat questions here. Dio here in the Herd Chat. I think Machocha likes to re-sign the guys he wants to keep in season. That's fair. And then Ethan does say hopefully Edmonton can finally do something this year. He also does say go Team Canada. And Joe needs to take that flag down before his house appreciates to $0. Ethan is on one today. Ethan in the Herd Chat is on one today. That is amazing. Dio also does say Edmonton may
in Joe's defense, that probably doesn't mean much to people there. They probably think it's a University of Washington flag.
I literally had that. I literally had somebody ask it. My tooth was a University of Washington one. Yes.
That makes sense. It just needs to be a little bit more purple and a little less blue, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's the dark. I was wearing a dark blue toque just like this, so it's almost Washington colors, right?
You can't really tell from a distance. Sorry, Clay.
As somebody who has a child who's colorblind, who can't tell the difference between purple and blue, you never know.
You never know.
Fair. That's fair.
That's extremely fair. Extremely fair. Alrighty, let's talk about these Ottawa Red Blacks. I'm just gonna jump on the record and state that I don't think the Red Blacks did anything to move the needle. I mean, it might move them out of the basement. They are going through wholesale changes. I do think Ryan Dinwiddie can get this team pulled around. I don't think it's going to be this year. I think that the Ottawa Red Blacks are going to have a very similar year to how the Edmonton Elks went through 24, 25, especially 25 with new coaching regime. Anytime you have that, especially somebody stepping in, I believe Dinwiddie is head coach and GM, or is he just head coach?
Yep.
He's head coach GM. Okay.
Head coach and GM. It's yeah.
Okay.
Yep. He wants to buy the groceries and cook the meal.
Exactly. He wants the cake and he wants to eat it. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. I'm never a big fan of multi-hats, somebody wearing multiple hats as a coach and GM, but as we know, CFL operations cap, we've mentioned it once, we're going to mention it again. Rather unfortunate that the teams are put into these positions having to limit their spending on, or at least their salaries with the CFL coaching cap, as we call it, the operations cap. I'm just going to go through the notables for Ottawa. Daniel Adeboye, he was...
Adeboye.
Thank you. His parents are also awesome, by the way. Great parents. Ty, I believe his dad's name is, but
yeah, they used to bring a bus to Toronto Argos games every time, and they were usually tailgating right next to us.
Beautiful. Yeah, they're great stuff. I'm pretty sure I've tailgated with them. But very, very active in the CFL fan community. We need more parents like that. But yeah, great folks. Just going to go through these. They lost Dustin Crum, as we know. He did sign with Montreal. Devontae Dedman, I think that was also a big loss for the Ottawa Redblacks. He ended up signing with Montreal last month. Justin Hardy being extended is critical for them to build off of. I think Justin Hardy is a fantastic wide receiver in this league. They need to hold on to him. He's going to be a cog, much like a Geno Lewis, obviously. You have Justin Hardy and Geno Lewis. You just need a really good quarterback to develop the three-headed monster, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not really... Kenny Onyeka, he ended up signing with Hamilton. Darius Pickett going back to Toronto, that hurts. Robert Priester also going to Toronto, that hurts. Javon Santos-Knox going to Winnipeg, that hurts. Yeah, I mean, as far as their free agents, they didn't really retain a whole lot. I mean, I think right here I see 8, 9, 10, 11. They have 11 or 12 extensions, but then they also lost quite a few players as well. And does anybody actually know what their plan is at quarterback?
Drew Brown yet, right?
Yeah, it is Drew Brown. Yeah, I guess it's Drew Brown. Yeah,
and he's got some familiarity with Dinwiddie, who was on his way out of Calgary when they were trying to bring him in there. So he does have some familiarity with him. He's a very Dinwiddie style quarterback. Mm-hmm. But as far as what's like Dustin Crum, when he went to do I get a shot? No, okay, I'm gone. Right? At this point, it's Drew Brown's team, and until Dinwiddie decides otherwise.
They also have Matt Shills.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's what I was looking for. I think
he was retiring.
I'm pretty sure he's retiring. Yeah. I was wondering about that as well, because as soon as you said Shills, I'm like, okay, but wait, he might be retiring. Yeah, I mean, I do have questions behind the quarterback room. I wonder if Arbuckle goes back to Ottawa.
Yeah, Toronto's got 5, right?
Yeah.
Keep all 5.
They got quarterbacks to spend.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I don't know if Arbuckle goes. I think it all depends on the situation. In Toronto, things shape out in training camp. They may use Arbuckle as a bargaining chip, but then again, you've got a semi-reckless Chad Kelly who can apparently take himself off for injury and not even injure himself. So you never know.
I like how you're the one that's speaking on this, Clay. I love it. I love.
Okay. When Chad Kelly is on the field, I love him, but and I've said this many times. As soon as you take football out of the equation, he's dumber than a bag of rocks, and I need to apologize to the bag of rocks.
Argos Fancast, ladies and gentlemen. That's on Shotgun Sports Network. You can find it here on Shotgun Sports, your home for fan talk. Too good. We're gonna have to give Clay a little bam, 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 bam. And then also I do want to bring up some herd chat comments here before we finish up our Ottawa talk. Stampeders players and fans are colorblind. I mean, who enjoys wearing red? I'm gonna give her one of those. And then it's all banter. Joe just seems like a cool guy who doesn't know how to pick good sports teams. I'll take it easy on you, Joe, because Ethan seems to be going hard on you. So,
I do pretty well picking sports leagues, though.
Yay!
I love it. Canada, even if you're in Wichita Falls, Wisconsin. I love it. Who are you? Hey, Joe. I know we're gonna get off topic here for just a moment, but are you cheering for USA in the Olympics? You gotta be.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people.
The Canadian flag is the peace tool around here. Hey.
I mean, you guys accepted me as one of your own, so I'll take that with all the grace God gives me. So
you are an honorary Canadian, my friend.
The American women.
I've had
the
a
American
few
women's team. The Americans women's team crushed us today. By the way.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, that didn't look so good for you guys.
God.
We only have to beat you once.
In the important one, yes. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's hope our ladies can get it together there in Italy. But much like the Ottawa Red Blacks, hope that they can get it together this year as well. Like I said, I mean, I think getting back to this conversation, I think that my biggest concern, especially with quarterback, is, Drew Brown goes down or Drew Brown doesn't work out in the Dinwiddie system. You have to make a move halfway through the season, right? I think that if I'm Dinwiddie, I'm preparing for that, and I wouldn't doubt, and this is why I say Arbuckle to Ottawa. I would not doubt if that happened. Maybe they try to do another rebuild based around that. It's just, if you're an Ottawa fan right now, I think as an Elks fan, speaking to an Ottawa fan, I would say prepare for a rough 2 to 3 years.
McLeod Bethel Thompson's still available.
He is still available. That is a thing, but I don't see anybody rushing to sign him right now. So, and I don't mean that with any disrespect. I just wonder, if he's going to fit in anybody's system properly with a solid O-line in front of him. I think MBT is going to need a solid O-line, and I think that Ottawa is going to be in more of a plug-and-play scenario this year where they test things out, test the waters, see what works, see what doesn't, try to make a system that works best for whatever quarterback is there as well, or at least even for that position. Conform whoever is at quarterback into the plan, into the game plan, and go from there. Anytime you have coaching changes, wholesale coaching changes like that, that it's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride. So best of luck to Ottawa. I think all of our favorite teams are looking all right going into 2026. I think the Bombers can make it potentially back to the big dance or even to the playoffs. I think the Elks should have a chance at the playoffs this year based on what I'm seeing. I think that the Stamps could be in the playoffs this year. We could even see the Stamps versus the Elks in the playoffs, maybe even the Bombers in there as well against one of those two teams. And then Toronto, I think that they're going to be a little bit more of a wild card this year. I think that Ottawa is going to go through some turmoil. I think Hamilton might go through turmoil, and I think it's going to be Toronto's opportunity to grab. They do have some degree of continuity there in Toronto. So it's going to be a really interesting season. I don't think that there are any real clear-cut winners or losers. I know we didn't quite talk wish list, but if we talk wish list, we're going to be on here for another hour. So we'll do one roundtable question to finish up this show. And I guess kind of just playing off of what we just asked, gentlemen, and we'll go Joel, Clay, Jason. Who are you scared of this year?
Well, I mean, obviously the Grey Cup champions are to the province of the West. So BC is always a threat with Nathan Rourke. If he's healthy and he's on firing all cylinders, they're always in play. Calgary came out of nowhere last year. They snuck up on people. So they're a threat, and Edmonton's getting better. I mean, the West could go a lot of different ways. I think the only team in the East I would fear at all is Montreal. Maybe Hamilton if they can keep it together. Otherwise, I think Toronto and Ottawa are another year or two away.
That's fair. That's fair.
I may have to start siding with Ethan here. Honestly, Montreal does scare me a little bit, especially with the healthy Davis Alexander. Like him and Jason Moss are a deadly combo. When you get Davis Alexander he's bordering on Bo Levi Mitchell level confidence. And I think he is one of those quarterbacks that has to live in that set. And then when you get Jason Moss behind him, you get guys to buy into that, and you're going to get guys having years that they have no business having. That scares me. The way the Winnipeg has started to retool, and the guys they still have there, that scares me a little bit. And then, with O'Shea re-upping there, as opposed to re-upping or coming back to Toronto, they're going to scare me.
Can I speak on that for just a second, since that got brought up?
Yep.
We're standing in the convention center at Grey Cup. Me and a fellow podcaster that's not with the network, but is definitely a good dude. Just standing there and just talked to, and Mike O'Shea's walking by for the gala, and he yells out, "Hey, Mike, thanks for coming back home." And Mike O'Shea yells at us as he's walking by, "I never left."
That was Zach from Bonfire, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was tripping over that. I don't know why. But yeah, Zach from Bonfire yells that out. O'Shea yells that back, and it's like, oh, was that his mindset? Okay, great. I'm all for that.
That's epic. Jason, who are you scared?
Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry, Clay.
Nah. I don't know where I was going to go, so yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
I already crashed the bus. It's fine.
Well, it's interesting that you brought this question up, because I wanted to mention, because I pulled it up, Oz from the other show that I co-host, Shots from the Hip, shout out Shots from the Hip. He mentioned on our show this week the odds to win the Grey Cup this year. The odds are already out. Number 1 is Montreal Alouettes. Number 2 is the Riders. Number 3 is the Lions. Number 4 is the Argos. Number 5 is the Stampeders. Number 6 is the Blue Bombers. Number 7 is the Ticats. Number 8 is the Red Blacks, and the Elks are in last place odds to win the Grey Cup this year. So
bet the farm on the Edmonton Elks. I'm telling you.
I was going to because I think the Edmonton Elks stand a chance this year. But talking about teams that scare me, before I heard this, I automatically think the Riders are scary because they dominated last year, and so did the Montreal Alouettes. And them being 1-2 doesn't surprise me at all. BC in there with Nathan Rourke. Like, if Rourke is healthy all season, BC can definitely take the West. So, I mean, being a Stampeders fan, I'm obviously going to be more scared of teams in the West. So Saskatchewan and BC are top choices in the West that I'm scared of.
I'm going to agree with you. BC Lions, I think, are going to be the scariest team, especially it's kind of funny going into this episode. I wasn't scared of the BC Pussycats at all. But then all of a sudden we talk about the changes and we talk about the teams and we look at things on a bigger level.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? BC Lions might be a little bit scary this year. Just because they're not making a big splash in free agency doesn't mean that they have gotten any weaker. They've lost a couple, they've gained a couple, but we're not seeing that massive influx. And usually when you have that consistency year over year, that's a team that's marching towards a Grey Cup. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see the BC Lions win it within the next 5 years, maybe even the next 3 years. I think I'm genuinely scared of those guys. I would like to point out that Dio is scared of Stuart Johnston. That's a crazy comment.
And
What's that, sorry?
and now I'm sad.
That's right. There's rule changes that will be mentioned on another day, I guess, but or maybe down the road. But Ethan also does say he's following the channel now. Win bunch of guys. Yo, I'm sorry. The only thing we have for sound effect today is the horn, but we're gonna blast that for Ethan.
Thanks, Ethan.
Thanks, Ethan. Shout out you. Shout out all the viewers. Shout out all the listeners. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and favorite button. We really appreciate it. We do this for the fans, from the fans, as we say. Yeah, like I said, I'm scared of the BC Lions. And outside of that, like I was thinking Calgary, but I think with losing Alfred and losing a couple other pieces, I think that Calgary isn't as scary as they were last year. So
Dark horse.
Dark horse. No, it's a white horse, and it's called Quick Six, and it's going to go to the glue factory in 2026.
We should change our logo this year to a black horse.
You know what? That's an advertising campaign that you should contact Calgary.
I should. We're the dark horse this year.
I love it. Alrighty. That is all we have for today's 2026 CFL Free Agent Frenzy. We wanted to talk more. We are well over our 2-hour mark. So we will not continue the party anymore because I think we all have jobs to get to tomorrow. But this has been a blast as always. Once again, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and favorite buttons. Joe, where can our viewers find you or Rouge White and Blue online?
Well, they can find Rouge White and Blue either on their favorite podcatcher or at the YouTube channel Shotgun Sports. Me on Blue Sky, USFL Tecmo. Otherwise, the show's handle is still out there on X, and it gets posted to as far as when shows come out.
You know it. We tagged you today. And Clay, where can our viewers find you and Argos Fancast?
They can find the Argos Fancast at Argos Fancast across all the socials. You can find the podcast right on Shotgun Sports Network. Or anywhere you find your friendly neighborhood podcast, just search Argos Fancast. Got to get that tagline in there all the time.
We're not cracking a cold one, though.
No, it was a little bit warm today. And you can find me at all kinds of Clay across all the various socials out there.
Love it. And Jason?
You can find me at Stamps Roundup on... What am I on? I can't even remember what I'm on. I've been talking so much NFL lately, I don't even remember what I'm on. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you can find me anywhere online, Jason Bizek. Yeah. And bringing back the show again for another season, starting probably in a few weeks here.
Love it. And right now you are co-hosting with Oz of the Rouge White and Blue podcast. Had a little bit of a fusion, if you will. Shots from the Hip podcast. It's been popping off on the network. There's massive mention earlier on that I was supposed to get to. You did show up, so we can talk about it now. But Shotgun Sports is presenting Shots from the Hip pod. You guys have been talking NFL, NHL, CFL, all in one. And it's been a fantastic show. Amazing addition to the network. We encourage everybody to go check it out. Has its own playlist on the network here on YouTube. So once again, that's at Shots from the Hip Pod or Shots from the Hip Podcast. And my name is Scout Natick, aka the rep from Section X with the Elks Herd and the Elks Call. We are Shotgun Sports Network. This was the 2026 Free Agent Frenzy. Boys, I can't thank you enough for joining me tonight, viewers. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and at Shotgun Sports Network and Edmonton Sports Talk. We hope everybody has a fantastic night, and we will see you all again soon. Cheers, everybody.